The first ransomware attack ever recorded happened in 1989 when a hacker locked down a user's file, demanding a measly $189 in exchange. A few decades later, it appears hackers have become bolder, as can be seen in the Kaseya ransomware case. Over 1,000 companies were affected, $70 million asked in ransom, and two powerful nations brought to a loggerhead. How did the hackers manage to pull off such a daring feat? What really happened after? We will fill you in on all the details, but first, be sure to smash the like button, subscribe, and click the notification bell for more amazing content. Done? Let's get right into it. To set the tone for the video, and to give you a better perspective of the magnitude of the Kaseya ransomware, let's start by giving you a quick rundown on the history of ransomware. So ransomware is just one type of virus in an exhaustive list of different types of viruses. Some of the most well-known types of viruses and computer malware include Trojans, worms, phishing viruses, keyloggers, and backdoors. Ransomware, however, operate quite differently compared to other forms of malware. Think of ransomware as self-contained, virtual armed robbery, or kidnapping bots. They cause significant harm and damage by usually locking a computer system or applying encryption to computer files. After this is accomplished, the virus usually displays a message directing ransom payments to be made for the virus to be rendered ineffective so that the user may continue. 1989 is the year in which the earliest ransomware attack is noted to have taken place. It was called AIDS Trojan, and it locked down a user's files in exchange for a payment of $189. However, the malware had a critical design flaw that allowed someone diligent enough to recover files without parting with any money at all, easily. However, the stage was set, and hackers would come up with some of the most advanced ransomware attacks for the time, in the mid-2000s, which was when ransomware became known in the general public sphere. Ransomware at this time had its codes sourced from Trojan viruses, such as GP code and Archivius, with the most powerful ransomware variant of GP code known as gpcode.ak being first detected in June 2008. With the rise of cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin, hackers began to introduce encryption into their ransomware, leading to a new kind of ransomware that would encrypt users' files. Then it became increasingly common for hackers to demand and successfully acquire ransom payments through Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. Since it's next to impossible to trace Bitcoin transactions, it has become the safest way for ransomware hackers to continue their nefarious actions without contention. Since at least 2009, certain ransomware strains have made use of proxy servers around the world to make tracking perpetrators even more difficult. Today, if you find yourself on the dark web, you can expect to find at least a dozen websites offering different kinds of ransomware for sale. Many of these websites and their operators have yet to be taken down by authorities worldwide. All these facts combined have caused many analysts and computer scientists to designate ransomware viruses to become one of the most dangerous cyber threats in existence. It threatens private citizens, small businesses, and corporations alike. With an informative background set in place, the question arises, what has American software company Kaseya Limited got to do with the recent ransomware attacks, affecting at least 1,000 companies? Why is their name tied to this? We know that Kaseya Limited is a software company headquartered in Miami, Florida, in 2001. Since then, they have been a small-scale firm engaged in providing network systems and information technology infrastructure on a contractual basis. Despite their lack of recognition, they own 13 smaller companies, and many systems used by top companies utilize their network infrastructures. On the 2nd of July 2021, however, Kaseya Limited announced to all of its users and clients that its software is being abused to deploy ransomware on their systems. It did not take long at all for the source to be identified. The fault was within Kaseya's VSA, or Virtual System Administrator. This is a management software package that is one of Kaseya's most used and bought products. The VSA system's functionality depends greatly on the deployment of software and automation of IT tasks, as noted by British security analyst firm Sophos. Such a highly decentralized infrastructure is theorized to have been the reason as to why the hackers targeted Kaseya. There was a major SQL injection vulnerability in the software that allowed attackers to compromise the software and lay ransomware in many of the devices connected to Kaseya's master servers for the software. SQL, or Structured Query Language, is a specific standardized coding language used for the creation of an online database, and a SQL injection distributes malicious code into the very foundations of the database to cause vulnerabilities for exploitation. Hackers were then able to push the ransomware through a fake and malicious software update for the VSA, dubbed Kaseya VSA Agent Hotfix. Previous security compromising actions through the SQL prevented this malicious update from being stopped, so it installed itself on many Kaseya users' machines. It was only after the passing of this malicious update was noticed that the company got the hint about what was going on and shut down services immediately. The very first Kaseya client to report major issues was Norwegian financial software developer Visma. They handled management systems using Kaseya software for the Swedish supermarket chain Coop. As a result of the attacks, Coop had to close down nearly 800 of its stores. Many of these stores were in villages with no other places to buy food from. A group emerged, claiming responsibility for the attack. Calling themselves Revil, they claimed to have triggered file encryptions in over 1 million systems over the course of the attacks. A ransom figure of $70 million was demanded by them, which, when paid, would prompt the release of a universal decryptor that would unlock all affected computers and systems. The official statement from Kaseya is that a maximum of 1,500 downstream businesses was impacted in the attack, so the 1 million system injection claim by Revil seems plausible. Kaseya has since shut down its cloud-based VSA product and has recommended that users do the same locally on their ends. It is a slight relief to note that many VSA users were able to take their VSA deployments offline as soon as the news was announced and before any hacking took place. This means that, for many, all their pertinent data is secure and safe for the time being. Another important detail to note is that it is very unlikely that any of the affected companies would pay the entire $70 million ransom-free. It is also unlikely that there would be any effort to collectively pay the ransom, as Kaseya is working on a solution that requires no ransoms to be paid. So far, in the year 2021, there have been 80 ransomware attacks, and Revil's attack has just been one of the perpetrators. According to an analysis by BitSight, a prominent cybersecurity analysis firm, Revil has been responsible for about 15% of those attacks. The Kaseya ransomware attack has been a grim reminder of the vulnerabilities present in SQL-run databases around the world. Software supply chains have been at risk for a while, with notable examples including the NotPetya, SolarWinds, Hafnium, and Excellion incidents. Revil is not the only group in active operations. Any groups like Revil are primarily motivated by financial goals. These groups have been catching the attention of world governments, and the recent Kaseya incident itself has prompted dialogue between the US and Russian presidents. A phone call took place on July 9, 2021 between US President Joe Biden and Russian President Vladimir Putin. Biden is reported by the press to have told Putin that ransomware attacks from Russian soil should be expected to be acted against by the US. He also added that the United States would move to take action if the Russian state dithered in taking action. In the recent bilateral talks between the US and Russia and the G7 summit, Joe Biden has added cybersecurity to the agenda and a list of discussion priorities. Russia is involved, since Revil is known to be a Russian-speaking group. As for Kaseya, though, they have most recently announced that they came into possession of a universal decryptor, the kind of thing Revil has been taunting their victims with. The universal decryptor acquired by Kaseya can also unlock all of the data affected by the hack. When asked about how it was acquired, Kaseya spokespeople have said that it was obtained from a third party and that they have teams actively helping customers affected by the ransomware. This brings us to two ambiguities. Where did Kaseya gain their universal decryptor from? And what is the deal with Revil? Revil has vanished from the internet, and all their presence, including their website, has gone offline. Kaseya has declined to comment and give further information when asked whether they had paid for the universal decryption key. Speculation about what happened is inevitably floating around, with a wide range of theories in circulation. Aside from the most obvious, that Kaseya paid the $70 million ransom, which is unlikely, as mentioned before, there is the possibility that the Russian government cracked down on Revil hard. The stern conversation Joe Biden had with Vladimir Putin could explain subsequent events, as it caused political tensions to brew between Washington, D.C. and Moscow. Indeed, some experts have wondered whether the Russian government managed to seize the encryption key from REvil and handed it over through multiple intermediaries down to Kaseya Limited. This is similar to the time when the FBI casually announced that it had managed to track down ransomware group DarkSide after it attacked a U.S. infrastructure company. They were silent on the methodologies and details of the efforts undertaken to nab DarkSide and refused to elaborate further. This time, similarly to REvil, DarkSide had proceeded to simply go dark after being caught. As for the obvious theory, which would have Kaseya or their clients paying the $70 million ransom to gain the universal decryptor, it is unlikely because political actors are involved. Joe Biden's stern call to Vladimir Putin indicated a determination to resolve the issue without any compromise whatsoever. Both governments are perfectly capable in their cybersecurity skills and understanding of it, so it can be said with reasonable certainty that they would not budge to such a ransom fee. The previously mentioned figure, that of 1,500 companies and their systems being compromised by the ransomware attack, is still a very low figure of Kaseya customers being affected. If Kaseya Limited CEO Fred Vokola is to be believed, less than 0.1% of the company's customers were affected by the breach. It is evidently a very low proportion of users, but the important thing to note is that through interconnected networks, tertiary damage is done to other systems, as evidenced by the damages Swedish supermarket chain Coop suffered through their IT partner Visma, a Kaseya customer. A US government spokesman has contributed to laying concerns to rest after he stated that damage done to the US was quote-unquote minimal. Even though it seems as if REvil has been put down, it is important to note that such groups have been appearing, and have appeared numerous times, wreaking havoc on computing worldwide. REvil themselves have previously extorted a sum of $11 million from meatpacking company JBS by targeting its supply chain in the same way. The worst days of rampant computer viruses during the late 90s to the late 2000s may be over. That's due to improved security practices and increased awareness. But the threat has never truly gone away. Only time will tell what sort of new menace hackers and cybercriminals can come up with in the future. Stay safe online and remain vigilant. So, what do you think of the whole fiasco? Also, do you think Kaseya paid the ransom, or did Putin bring the hammer down? Share your thought in the comments section. Also, if you enjoyed the video, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and click the bell icon to get notified when we upload new content.